Okay, just got the notice.
Is Larry?
Same.
Oh, there he is. I see him now. Oh, and Kieran's here too. I have that you were gonna send regrets. I didn't, my phone only shows a few at a time, so hi Kieran, sorry I didn't say hi to you. And hey Jim, I didn't say hi to you either.
And yepperdoodle isn't a thing that old people say either, by the way. Make that
Yepperdoodle
clear.
sure is.
Maybe Tecumseh.
Well, you're not
people.
old enough yet. You must be younger than
Tecumseh
me
old
still.
people.
We are live streaming.
Decorum, people, decorum.
Okay, good morning and welcome to the March 19th, 2026 meeting of the ERCA Executive Committee. I will call this meeting to order. So I'd like to begin by acknowledging that this land is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi peoples. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and all of the original peoples of Turtle Island, North America, who have been living and working on this land from time immemorial. Please raise your hand if you have any declaration of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, I need a motion that the agenda for the March 19th, 2026 meeting of the ERCA Executive Committee be approved. Moved by Larry Verbicki, seconded by Tanya Joven. Any opposed? And that carries. Okay. Now we will move to the request for a proposal for Procella COR application, and Kevin will be speaking to this report.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to speak to this. This is the award of a contract associated with the ongoing control and management of an invasive species called hydrilla, which is in what's called the west cell of Hillman Marsh. It is contained to the west cell of Hillman Marsh. It's fully hydraulically isolated, and there's a lot of support and funding from the province of Ontario, and there is a rapid response team made up of multiple agencies to try to control this invasive plant. This invasive plant is the only occurrence of this invasive species found in Canada, and there's a great deal of attention and funding being provided and supported in order to try to eradicate it out of Hillman Marsh before it spreads further. The funding, previously the executive committee already approved the purchase of Procellacor, which is the herbicide, which we buy from the United States. It's the only type of herbicide that provides effective control for this plant. And the next phase of this is to award a contract to a contractor, a licensed herbicide applicator, to actually spray the product within the west cell. It's 30 hectares, requires treatment, and all of that was detailed in the RFP. You need additional certifications to actually spray this particular herbicide. So there's a very limited group of contractors who are actually licensed to use it. The RFP was released to all of them. We received 5 responses. And those have been already pre-populated in a tender summary sheet. And I will pass it back to the chair.
Okay, so sorry, I'm on my phone, so that's a little challenging. Okay, so we have a motion that the tender for the services related to Procellacor application in the amount of $36,000 from Exact Apply Ltd. be awarded, subject to favorable review by administration. And sorry, can I get a mover?
No, Chair.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry. Or that ERCA enter into the acknowledgement agreement to open the single bid received by.
No.
Respectfully, I have a couple of questions before we get to a motion.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Councillor Karen McKenzie. Sorry, my screen only shows so many people at a time.
Gotcha. Thank you. So Kevin, I know we talked about this already. I just, for folks who might be watching the live stream, can we just talk about the risks for a second? To the ecosystem and whatnot for spraying this material. And I know you talked about different levels of certification that folks that are going to be doing the application. So that's I'm confident on that side of it. But if things were to go wrong in terms of the so just talking about the risks for one thing, but also the insurance piece. So I think it mentions that there's a $2 million liability. If things went wrong for whatever reason, contractors at fault, does $2 million cover what would potentially require to be remediated if things did go wrong?
Yeah. So through you, Chair, the insurance requirements associated with this contract are in line with the Pesticide Act put forward by the province of Ontario. So everybody who uses pesticides or herbicides is required to have $2 million of insurance. This is the base standard rate. And that is what we put forward to have consistency related to that. This is ultimately not a high risk job because the type of herbicide that we're actually using within the wetland is very specific. You can even actually swim in this water immediately after it's applied per the label as approved by the Health Canada, I believe. So, and all those who actually register the product. So the actual herbicide is very specific. What it does is it actually is absorbed by the plant and a submerged aquatic plant, and it interferes with growth hormones very quickly. And the plant breaks apart and starts to die within a few days. That's how it actually works. It doesn't affect any types of wildlife, including or people. It's a fairly very specific type of herbicide that's used and registered in Canada.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
And most specifically and significantly, as a mitigation strategy, this is in full containment within that one cell. The individuals applying the herbicide and Conservation Authority staff have actually undertaken additional inspections of the site and have secured that actually nothing is leaving that site. Should something happen in the application and what have you, it is full containment to that site in itself. And so mitigation strategies aren't required for spill or anything leaving because of the full containment.
Okay, thank you for that. And then just in terms of the effectiveness of it, so it sounds like super effective, happens all of the things that we're hoping to see happen fairly quickly. What is it, just in terms of like, is the invasive species now, or once this goes forward, will it be eradicated completely, or will there be a need to maybe do this again next year or 5 years from now?
Yeah. So through you, Chair. So maybe I'll back up and just talk about hydrilla in general and the treatment plan that we're in the middle of. So with hydrilla, it's an extremely aggressive aquatic invasive species. It grows exponentially, and we believe that it took over vast amounts of area within Hillman Marsh aquatic habitat within a period of 3 years. So just for clarity, so it spread to almost every section of a 30-hectare wetland in 3 years. That's a plant growing. That should provide a bit of a chill for people to understand how fast that particular plant grows. When it grows, it forms dense mats of underwater material that steal oxygen or use oxygen. So they deplete the oxygen in the water, creating low oxygen levels. And they form such dense mats that they exclude other forms of wildlife, fish, turtles, you name it. So they exclude all those types of wildlife. Beyond the wildlife impacts, if this was to get out into the rest of the marsh and broadly out into Lake Erie, there's probably impacts on the fisheries. There's probably impacts on other forms of recreation, from recreational fishing to canoeing to kayaking, because it is so dense you can't run a boat through it with a propeller. You can't really paddle through it. Those types of things. So there's very significant impacts associated with this if it does get out of the west cell of Hillman Marsh, which is why we apply herbicide on a yearly basis. So there's a team put together and comprised of Department of Fisheries and Oceans, MECP, MNRF, the OFA, the Invasive Species Council, ERCA, obviously, and various other Parks Canada, you name it. Every environmental agency is at the table to try to deal with this thing. The herbicide itself kills the living plant, what's above the surface. It is not a systemic herbicide, so it does not kill the root of the plant. So this is a matter of exhausting the resources and not allowing it to reproduce on a yearly basis so that we literally exhaust it over the course of time. So this will be the third application and that we've undertaken, and we will have to continue this year after year until it's fully eradicated and we find no evidence of any kind of plant within that wetland cell. The University of Waterloo's Wetland Lab is working with us. They do all of the detailed survey work and monitoring associated with this plant. They are in the wetland every season. And what they are doing is they go out on a regular basis and they actually survey for it. We know it's effective because they've done pre and post surveys, so it does work. The actual number of plants that are alive versus the number of plants that are dead after the survey is very, very distinct. And we continue to tweak the actual treatment. This year, our goal is we've released this RFP sooner because the goal is to actually apply the herbicide probably 3, maybe 4 weeks earlier, because we think that will create better effectiveness, better kill of the actual plant. And that is based on the science provided by the University of Waterloo's Wetland Lab. This work is actually being highlighted both nationally and internationally. And there's a lot of eyes on this project. And there's a full presentation going to a binational meeting in April. So the Conservation Authority, University of Waterloo, and the Ministry of Natural Resources will be presenting at a binational forum next month on this topic to let everybody know the effort that's going into this and what we're doing.
I appreciate all of that. Thank you. And I'll just add as a comment, I think it really demonstrates the value of having a strong local presence in any particular area to be able to make sure that or to understand what's happening in the landscape and in the ecosystem and taking action to quickly to be able to address those challenges. And the fact that you were able to bring together a number of different partners and that this project now is garnering, binational and international focus, I think speaks to the value that a strong regional presence that conservation authorities bring to the communities that they serve. So thank you for all that work and move recommendation at the appropriate time.
Okay, is there any other questions? Seeing none.
No, Larry's got his hand up, Madam Chair.
Yep, sorry, Larry. I switched screens and I saw you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Committee Chair. I guess my concern is if it can't get through with the vote, how is it actually applied? By air?
No. So the last 2 years, the applicator actually submerses a probe into the water and it's applied directly into the water. The solution is applied directly into the water.
Great, thanks.
Okay, perfect. Any more questions? Now I'm seeing none. Okay, I have a mover, Kieran McKenzie, seconded by Tanya Jobin. Any opposed? That's carried. Okay, and moving on to the ECO 426 sole source procurement of materials from Walker Aggregates, and Kivimani will be speaking to this.
Thank you, Chair. The Conservation Authority has received significant amounts of funding and support from the federal government to implement projects and programs associated with the restoration of the Detroit River. This is one of those programs. The Conservation Authority is currently working through a construction project to reinforce and rebuild a critical dike that protects probably 500 acres of wetland habitat behind it in the Detroit River. Unfortunately, the contractor was stopped from doing his work this year because of the early onset of winter. The ice, the river itself started freezing up far earlier than anticipated. If anybody remembers how cold it was in November and December. And although they are working right now, they are back at it and moving rock. Unfortunately, there's not enough time because we have an end March funding cutoff associated with the funding that we've received. In total, we've received $1.3 million to undertake works this season. And I should also note, just for clarity, that this work is all happening by barge. So that's why it was delayed. The river iced up. We couldn't get in there. As an alternative and in agreement with our funder, Environment Canada, what we're doing, rather than lose that funding, we're saying let's invest that money in the purchase of rock instead. And then the next phase of the contract will occur in 2026 during the summer. So what we're suggesting here or recommending here is that we actually purchase rock. This is a 3-year project. I should clarify that we're in year this phase of this, which is phase 2 upcoming year. And then there's a future phase after that as well. We're actually going to be undertaking additional works in and around Fighting Island. So we are proposing to do this, and then we will simply use that rock in the upcoming construction season and modify future construction contracts to use that rock. I should note that based on an update from our engineering staff yesterday, we need to make a slight modification to the actual resolution. So I'm requesting that the chair modify the resolution for the value of the actual resolution to read, instead of $800,000, to read approximately $800,000 to $1 million, based on the payment certificates that will be coming to the Conservation Authority. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any questions on this? And seeing none. Okay,
Oh,
so
Madam Chair, sorry, question.
okay,
couple.
perfect. Go ahead, Karen.
Just on the new dollar figure, just so I'm clear about the finances here, these are flow through dollars through the grant. So the concept, okay, so there's no, and the change, the thing that would fully, that's still, or the change in the amount, that delta fully covered within the scope of the grant as well.
Yes.
Okay, and just in terms of that change now doesn't affect the analysis with respect to the sole source piece to it. I know the report says it's comparable material is a fair distance away, but does the $200,000 change bring the idea of another supplier into the equation at all?
For this purposes, no. Ultimately, if we worked with another supplier outside of Walker Aggregates and the local quarry, there would be significant additional costs in terms of trucking that material. The next quarry is well outside of, I think it's 5 hours away. So now we have to start running trucks up and down the 401 for 10 hours to move rock. It makes zero financial sense, and the cost would be significantly higher.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Through you, Madam Chair, in addition, as Kevin had identified, the time lost earlier on was further complicated by some actions of the contractor that's still being looked at by DFO. and the time crunch that we're facing on this, we need to stockpile this rock immediately to ensure that we, once we're given the go-ahead by DFO, that we can immediately start placing this rock both at the MMM site and the Fighting Island site.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'm just going to read the motion out that administration be directed to purchase approximately 800,000 to 1 million in aggregate construction materials from Walker Aggregates located in the Essex region of the Kennard River Wetland Complex, MMA, Marsh Erosion Protection and Habitat Improvements Project. Moved by, Tanya Jobin, seconded by
Kieran.
Kira McKenzie. Okay, sorry. Any opposed? And carries. Okay, and then is there any other new business members wish to raise?
Madam Chair?
Oh, yeah.
Madam Chair, just a bit of an update as well. Following the ministerial order, we again have gathered as administration. I've reached out to the 3 other conservation authorities and said, you know, we need to have some kind of communications established on this. There is a very active group of retired professionals who are engaged in opposition on this matter. This is a delicate situation for staff to be dealing with. My hat is off to my chairperson for her engagement on this and sticking with it. Staff greatly appreciates the political support that we're receiving on this. However, as staff, we are diligently proceeding with and looking at what is needed potentially should, after the sitting of Parliament, that this proceeds as it's currently been instructed by the minister. The writ has not fallen yet on this matter, but again, staff are making the appropriate preparations and acting responsibly on this issue. I'm still a little shocked personally and professionally that the general public has not seen fit to become engaged. However, the information is out there. We're circulating the information, and there has been a significant amount of advocacy come forward by this region. Most recently, a farmer who sits on Lakeshore Council has seen fit to provide some advocacy. That will be going in as an op-ed as well. The Windsor Essex Home Builders Association converted their letter to an op-ed. It should be in the Star this week. Once posted again, that once it is in that public forum and not just simple correspondence, it will be circulated and put out on Facebook and various circulations because, again, we're trying to provide balance to this, trying to be responsible and professional on this and providing this information out so people are informed and people who choose to could express their opinions and concerns. Chief Van Oorschot from Caldwell's has again reached back out to administration, and administration through chair and vice chair, and this is just evolving now, will be in communication with Chief Van Oorschot and again provide whatever information can be helpful.
Okay, thank you for the update. Is there anyone else who has new business? Okay.
Hi, Molly.
Here.
I don't know why I'm not coming up on your screen. I just wanted to comment on this as well, and just there is going to be some work that AMO's going to continue to be doing on this issue. I can tell you that there's broad consensus around that table that this is idiocy. I know that's not a word that that can be used at the administrative level, but I for one, I'm in a position to be able to call it what it is, and it is idiocy. It's madness. And when even just today, what we're dealing with here today, I think are 2 really good examples of what local capacities can bring to the region as a whole, the regions as a whole, and all of that is being put at risk for no good reason by this government. So Tim, I really do appreciate the work that you've done, the line that you're trying to, the fine line or the needle that you're trying to thread, whatever, however you want to express it. I think you've really done a great job on that front, articulating rational arguments. And yeah, I think the communities do have to step up. So there still is time. I mean, I think there's a certain amount that die is becoming increasingly cast, but it's not a done deal. And certainly we need to make sure that whatever new frameworks come forward, that the local capacities to identify issues of watershed management and all of the different conservation pieces, the value that we are able to bring currently as an organization, as an agency serving the community, isn't compromised by this nonsense that's being brought forward, again, for no good reason in my view. So therein lies the fight. And I'm not quite sure how we get there, because I've used this term before and I'm going to use it again. This government has demonstrated from its time that it started as the government of Ontario, conservation authority derangement syndrome. It has a weird focus on these agencies across the province, and in my view, their goal has been to destroy the CAs, and that's what they're trying to do. And the only thing standing between that and some form of appropriate level of being able to maintain the service levels that we're providing currently is us. It's us. I'll leave it there. I think people around this table have done great work, and I think we could, but we all need to keep going, because there's things that can be saved and salvaged, but it's going to take effort. Thank you, Madam Chair.
No worries. Thanks for always speaking up. Okay, anyone else? Seeing no other new business, this concludes the business of the executive committee. At this, I require a motion that for adjournment. Moved by Jim Morrison, seconded by Larry Verbeek. Any opposed? And that carries. Okay, everyone,
guys.
have a day.
Thank you very much, committee.
Yep. See you guys, girls.
Goodbye, everybody.